What? Whoa, yo, 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 yo. Whoa, 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 whoa. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Is the things moving on your screen clearly? Are you there? Are you here? Are you around? Is it happening this time around? Oh man, oh man, oh man. I'm here to figure it out. Someone tell me something. Something. I got nothing. Oh dang. Like seriously, oh dang. That's not popping up. Alright, yeah, welcome to the show. Sorry, I am 3D and I'm ready here to basically answer your questions today in hopes to change your perspective for what you're actually asking. There's a lot of people that have perspectives on certain things, and we have some really good questions that came in, and I want to go ahead and get them answered, squared away, and situated. But, well, what can we say? I guess what I'm saying is I'm trying to get the chat in right now. So if you happen to be anywhere, you can jump over to YouTube to jump into the chat, and very shortly that chat should be popping up right behind us as we go ahead and roll into today's sponsor. That's right, we are sponsored by Shield Folio, and if you don't know what that is a stone book that is basically where the paper is made with stone, so it's tear resistant, it's water resistant, it's fade resistant, and it's made to be durable. Basically, like you can put it's a little black book that allows you to store your passwords, your crypto keys, and other little details onto this stone-based paper. And I mean, anytime you hear a tear-resistant little black book, that should be boom sold. But we also got you with a 20% discount. You see that right there? It says Bitcoin Live 20. Add that in as your little discount code when you check out to get 20% off today. And throughout the whole episode, you'll see there's a QR one of the corners. If you scan that QR while you watch today or on the replay, it will actually, or should actually, direct you to their website so you can get yourself a Shield Folio when you're watching this next time. All right, thank you, Shield Folio, so much. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into the roll in so we can go ahead and jump in with today. Oh man. Thank you again, Shield Folio, for sponsoring today's episode. Now, right now, as we talk, I am in the middle of typing in some stuff, so I can't just drop this off the screen real fast. So I'm just going to continue talking about today. Today, we actually had a total of 12 inputs with a totaling, when you break it down, about 21 questions altogether. And because of that, we have a nice, tidy, long episode. And at the same time, I have the YouTube chat up. You see the little heart is on the screen. We are live, heartbeat pumping. And to be honest, I've been nervous about this entire episode. Every time I do one of these big questions, it makes me nervous because we are hoping that we are really answering the question for you. Because a lot of times when I'm offering you proofs, I have to make sure that whatever proofs um, we do or have to do or anything like that, that they make some kind of sense. And a lot of times I'm trying to condense the stuff down. So some of this we couldn't really condense a whole lot, unfortunately, but that is the beauty of what we're doing here, right? We're answering those questions live for you. Again, if you jump into YouTube, the chat is up. I'm going to go ahead and get into the main screen. Let's drop down that. Where you go? Here we are. That makes everything a little bit bigger. All right, so basically our first question right here, you see that we asked for the questions and how do money farms handle OFAC requests? Um, okay, now I think that's a really great question. Now, throughout the episode, you will see me, hold on a second, I'm going to actually toggle back. You'll see this little thing pop up. Let's see if it comes up. There it is. That little keyword. Whenever you see a keyword up there, you can go ahead and scan it to find wherever we're at. while you're watching this. Allows you to jump in and join us live or whenever you're watching again. So here it is. How do mining farms handle OFAC requests? Well, simply they do it accordingly to the OFAC. Now, I know that's kind of whatever. I'm going to give you all the details. I'm going to give you all the deets and all the locations to go to figure out how you can actually be OFAC compliant. Because I think this, I mean, yeah, sure, I might not agree with it or whatever, but there's tons of people out there who are going to want to be OFAC compliant. They don't want to, get fined or arrested or anything like that. So basically, the OFAC, it's simply requires like you keep record of any address that you come across. Rather you're mining, you're sending to, obtaining from, you basically all the UTXOs, rather straight, anything, okay? It comes into your purview. If it's on the OFAC list, you're supposed to deny it access. That's the downright simple answer. I'm going to give you more information and the tools to be able to handle this. So that's where we're going to go to right this second. I got to do this toggle thing back and forth. But one second while we... Yes. Okay. I got to... Yep, there it is. Alright, so I actually went out and I do believe this is the most updated version. I could be wrong. I do believe most updated. This is October 2021. Sanctions complete guidance for the virtual currency industry. There's a handful of things that we need to really look at here because it's sketchy. It's sketchy. I mean, governments don't do anything other than sketch, right? So the first thing I want to point out is it says what's a digital currency and what a virtual currency is. These are currencies that they're listed one within inside the other, as you can see, right? So a digital currency is this overarching broader term that means any sovereign cryptocurrency, virtual currency, which is a non-fiat specifically, and a digital representation of fiat currency. So it's three different forms of currency. But then if we go to virtual currency, it's a digital representation of value that functions as either A, a medium of exchange, B, a unit of account, or 3, store of value, and is neither issued nor guaranteed by any jurisdiction. That very last part means a lot of information. Like the very first time I looked at this, I went, oh, that means Bitcoin is not a virtual currency. But the more I look at it, the more I go, they are trying to make it where Bitcoin is a virtual currency and not a digital currency, which is technically, I would say, even in a broader term called cryptocurrency. But they're going to say, no, it is a virtual currency. But keep in mind, I cannot determinately say where it sits in here, and it would take a judge to say otherwise, or someone within a different agency to say otherwise. So we're going to go through some steps first. I just wanted to point this out because it makes it very confusing. Because their lists are for virtual currency. And I think that's the most important part here. These lists and everything is for virtual currency. And that's why I think they're trying to put Bitcoin in that list. And they talk about more about the lists and everything. And they're basically telling you you're going to be blocking stuff. How do you block it? And it literally just says you do it. It says all persons who come across it is required to block it. That's how they said to block it. That's very informative. Not really, no. So the actual requirements. Okay, so listen up. Initial block properties must be filed within 10 days of following the date the property is blocked. An annual blocked property report of all the blocked properties held on to up to June 30th must be filled annually, no later than September 30th each and every year. And then all rejected transaction reports also must be filed 10 business days after the date they were rejected. And then also, anytime that you are requested any kind of report, you are demanded to give it within the specific time that you were given to give. And it would be done through administrative subpoena. That's very important that they actually put that in there. Because if they just hit you up randomly without a subpoena, you can tell them off until they get you that subpoena. It says right here, through an administrative subpoena. So who do you keep these records on? Every person's engaging in the transactions, including the one that you're not supposed to transact with. What? Anything and everything. How long? For up to 5 years after the transaction, and or 5 years after the property has been unblocked. There is a chance you need to maintain to all records in case any blocked property becomes unblocked, so that way you can delete it 5 years after that. Imagine deleting one of your records because it's 6 years after the date, and then the day after you delete it, it becomes unblocked. Now you have to have it again for 5 years. This is the problem here. And you have to file twice all reports, which means it's going to scale the numbers. They're going to be able to say, oh, we have this many reports at the end of the year, and it's going to be triple reporting. There's 3 sets of reports that have to be sent in. 2 of them have to be sent in after the 10th business day, or around by the 10th business day, they have to be sent in. Plus, all of the reports for both of these types of reports have to be sent in again by itself. It's just an additional report every year. An additional report every year. And there's a bunch more here, but you guys can come back and look at it. It is very there's things around. We're gonna work around it. Okay, we're gonna work around it. First thing I want to point out is if you actually go to the OFAC or whatever and you say, "Hey, bro, let me look up BTC." This is what you're gonna get. Okay, you're gonna. Okay, see what I mean? They're trying to put Bitcoin under that digital currencies or virtual money or whatever instead of the digital one. Like, there's a reason why they don't want it in this broader art list. So they want it to be a virtual currency, not a digital currency. If it's a digital currency, this wouldn't be technically allowed. Like, they shouldn't be able to do what they're doing, right? But it's a virtual currency, they can. And that's why they want this to be a virtual currency. So they have a little bit of a workaround. They have a workaround. Because if you look up Bitcoin, you get this. Okay? There's the QR. Now, we're going to go into that. This is it right here. So, if we look at this, it says digital currency address listed on the SDN list include their unique alphanumeric identifier up to 256 characters and identity the digital currency to which the address corresponds. Bitcoin, XBT. Last time I checked, Bitcoin is BTC. Yep, well, there it goes. Bitcoin, XBT. Okay. So, we're going to jump over, because what is XBT? Now, we've actually done this on a previous episode. It is the Bitcoin US dollar index token. This is literally the token of when you trade to US dollar. So a lot of your exchanges and stuff like that, this is what they're really dealing with. And now it starts to make more sense, I think, why they're saying it's this XBT is a virtual currency. It does meet all the points on listed, plus it is within some form of jurisdiction that it does not control. Alright, that's starting to make sense. So now we look up XBT and we find out, whoa, hi, there's a little bit of something here. Actually, there's 2 pages of something here. Let me get rid of this first page. Here's the second page. And I'm sure that list is already growing. Well, don't worry. There is already a mining company that is OFAC compliant. According to this, on May 1st, 2020, Marathon will begin directing 100% of its hash rate to the new mining pool, and it expects all 103,120 of its miners to be deployed by 2022. It is looking at 10 ether hash on the pool. So, and then on June 1st, 2020, the pool will begin accepting other US-based companies. So here we go, Marathon Digital Holdings from Las Vegas, Nevada, and this was filed March 30th, 2021. Or updated, I guess. I don't really know. I don't think this was filed that day. I think it was this document was made this day. And it has a little more information about them and stuff. So here you go. You can go ahead and come see this sec.gov documentation. Now, there is a really, I think this is a fairly good article on the OFAC compliance, on how to, everything about it, really. Who needs to comply? All U.S. citizens, persons, all U.S. incorporated entities, all foreign subsidiaries of U.S. companies. Who is it meant to comply? Blocked assets, trade restrictions. At one point, they asked, who's it going after? And it's basically everyone. And even Jason Streamerson Lab says, the fact that there are Bitcoin addresses on the OFAC list is ridiculous. You're not supposed to reuse a Bitcoin address. So who are the baddies? Individuals, companies, foreign companies, organizations, basically anybody. And that is already being targeted as people who need to be. And we just looked at a minor company who is, and of course these people mentioned them as well. And I just want to point out that basically, see this May 2021 thing, that's when I think it became public by the SEC. Like, again, that SEC document was made around that time, that they were OFAC compliant. Which is like 6 months after the OFAC compliant pool was public. And they're also saying that Lightning is probably headed even to worse times or harder times, or like Lightning Network, I've always said, is not a good thing. But anyways, there's a lot more in here you can come back to and see like how OFAC is going, how this OFAC compliance stuff is going to affect the different layers running on top of Bitcoin. Let's say it that way, because they want to get rid of coin joins. They're trying to stop merging and mixing and all that. But we have more Bitcoin privacy than ever before that actually works in a manner that you can use, that's not time restricted. And I think that's kind of important. So we're headed towards the right way, I should say, or at least with the right tool sets. All right, so I'm gonna I am dropping some of these as we go, because I have a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just trying to get this thing to make it easier to move around. So basically, here is the OFAC sanctions list data stuff. You can actually request the list. I just wanted to make sure everyone had access to this, because this is kind of like, I think, where a lot of people are going to go to just like basically get themselves a static copy of the list every so often. And then we're going to go to the next one. I want to point out, this is actually how you can search within the list to find out if you have an address or you see an address that is on the sanctions list. And then on top of that, there is more than one list that you might have to go through. I think most people, there's at least 5 of these they need to be going through or something like that. It's kind of confusing, but if we go, there is another search tool that helps you search from like within, like which list do you need to go to, basically, is all this does. So it's just a different search tool, but it still could be very helpful for anybody who wants to be OFAC compliant. And I'm a bit lazy, and I know a lot of people who comes to the show watching probably is a bit lazy too. So there is an automated system already to be OFAC compliant, and that's this right here. And I want to point out the name of it is called Move.io. To be OFAC compliant, you use Move.io. So if you start seeing Move inside node information lists and stuff, you maybe back away from that node or something, or choose to stay away from that any node connected with that service, because there is a completely different GitHub offering this automated system to be OFAC compliant. And it's basically it is just the Office of Foreign Asset Control, or OFAC, U.S. Sanctions Search API. It just allows you to search through their system. And again, it is just move.io. So here you go. Two different sources of the same exact project. I do believe they're exactly the same, and they were posted around almost exactly the same time. So it was just so that way there was more than one way to get to it. But there is this site here. So if you're really wanting to know, like, kind of like every little step or whatever, this is probably your better look, because they're gonna set you in the right frame of mind of why and what's going on, and then they're gonna just basically break it down and like, look, there's 5 little main things, training being one of them. So there are sites you can probably go to for more stuff about this, but as you see, they have tools that can do geolocation, screen relevant data from it, KYC procedures, and also monitoring and investigating with transactions. So maybe using breadcrumbs and stuff like that. They do have a couple points in here where, like, they're not telling you what you have to use, they're telling you how to do, basically, and a lot of stuff is really upon you to figure out, which kind of sucks, but it makes sense why, because that is how this playground, or this, cryptocurrency, it's kind of how that playground works. So, maybe you do want to run those automated API structure, and so this is going to be for the main 5 OFAC list. This is where I got that number from. This is how you can automate. So believe it or not, there's, I think 2 more types of OFAC list or FDN lists in that previous list we looked at. So keep that in mind, that you still might have to go back and check manually every so often a whole bunch of addresses that didn't get point on any list. And it kind of just drops you down, preparing you to getting you ready to do it all, to get a machine to just do this permanently. It's basically like a miner to just, yeah, it's basically like a micro miner inside your node in order to just make sure you're OFAC compliant and stuff. Okay, so, well, I need to get better at this. Alright, my bad. So, one of the things I wanted to make sure we're giving out is like a TLDR of every question. And you saw I got to the next question, I dropped in. We're going to be doing it like this, so this is just how it's going to be. And basically, the too long didn't read for the first question, which, give me a second, I am pulling back up. So I'm just getting rid of all these OFAC lists. They actually, I don't have the other previous question. Oopsie daisies. My bad. The first question was, how do we be OFAC compliant? And the too long didn't read basically is, although I do not agree with the OFAC denial of service request for Bitcoin, you just simply check all the addresses you ever see by any entity. And for example, you as a person, or your minor business or whatever, those are entities. So you as a person is an entity, your mining business an entity. So both of you different entities. Either of you see one of these addresses on OFAC list, boom, responsible, I guess. But basically, they want to know they don't want you to allow any transactions on these by these addresses. So record everything, as much information as you can, and give it to the government multiple times to ensure you don't include something today, but then forget to include it again later. It's basically a trap designed with forgiveness, but only if the Bitcoin goes to specific entities to allow them to be cleaned. The key here is you don't get forgiven; you just have to pay a fine. And then the virtual currency itself, which is based on info by the OFAC, there's a chance BTC is not a virtual currency, but when trading with Bitcoin, that is XBT, that is a virtual currency. They also view fully independent sanction and sanction coins to be one type of currency, while controllables, also known as virtual currencies, to be a different type of currency, and then stable coins that are specifically in real life cash, as well as cryptos that are specifically to be like in real life cash, are their own currency. Uh, and I do need to point out that the OFAC did describe sovereign coins as a virtual currency as well, or virtual coins as well, and so that may be an extra trap later on. There are some indications that we see that never is exchanged for fiat, virtual currencies, aka controllables, or stable coins, or even fiat tokens in general, potentially may be safe. But really, again, only a judge could make that determination, so fair warning on there of what you consider to be a virtual or digital currency, because the people in the government may not consider it to be the same. So we're going to go right back into the next one. The next question is what is the best way to secure your Bitcoin and still have easy access to use it? So I'm going to go ahead and drop this down so we can get to the actual question with the links. That way you guys can find this for on your own. Here we go. So the answer is this is kind of an oxymoron, meaning you can't have both sides. You will always have to pick security or ease of access. So I sat down and I thought about it, and I just went and kind of wrote down all the different ways that I know to use Bitcoin securely. And when I say that, I mean I break it down to just like basic points and steps, right? It's these things here we do to make it secure, or these things here less secure. And then I just kind of like did that. And I was like, well, if we do this, it's less secure, but it still works. And I just did that so I couldn't do it anymore, where I felt like it was so unsecure I couldn't recommend it. But this was secure enough that I could recommend it. So what I'm about to lay out is exactly what Peace, Love, and Music G asked for. But my initial actual answer is my honest answer, which all of these are my honest answer. It is an oxymoron question. So, if you're ever sitting there thinking this, don't think that's a bad thing. An oxymoron question just should let you know it is always one or the other. And so if you're sitting there and you're struggling with something, you're like, oh, this is so kind of hard for me to use. Okay, we might be able to change that to make it easier for you, but are you willing to risk it? So what I'm about to show you is the easiest way I know to make it have secure Bitcoin. This is also the easiest way I know to make anonymous Bitcoin, or to have anonymous Bitcoin. Which I know that wasn't actually asked, but I just feel like it needed to be put in here. Alright. The process of keeping a secure Bitcoin and having access to Bitcoin starts by having a 3-wallet process minimum to use your Bitcoin. Alright. I want to point that out again. The processing of keeping your secure Bitcoin and having access to Bitcoin starts by having a 3-wallet process minimum to use your Bitcoin. So first off, you will need paper wallets, and that's where we go right back to where we were a second ago. The encoding lists of magic. Alright, you're going to need paper wallets, or wallets made by devices that will never see the internet. Or you can actually do everything by hand on paper, which I do not recommend. Doing anything with Bitcoin by hand is not easy or moderately easy. It is possible. There's tools to help you to make it easier on you, but the end point that I'm going to get at is that actually it's extremely difficult to keep it secure doing it by hand. Even myself personally, I do not trust myself personally to write Bitcoin wallets by hand on my own to have secure Bitcoin wallet. I might do it for a fun gag or something I'm not going to hold storage funds in very long, but not something I plan on using for cold storage. So it takes a lot of well-trained disciplines like mathematical theories of geometry, trigonometry, but entropy handling, but also stuff like with true randomizations. Ian Coleman, believe it or not, this one right here, this system was actually yelled at me to use by Anatopoulos. I probably said his name wrong. Back in like 2017 or 2018. Um, and I think it's been around since like 2014 or sooner. And this is basically hierarchy deterministic wallets or HD wallets. Um, and this is the way where you can create derivative wallets and stuff like that. And this is the standard, but has hidden risks. Like one key does rule all your wallets versus one key per one wallet. And if you were hacked or jacked or picked up by the cops, you wouldn't really want them to be able to sweep all your Bitcoin with one key. You would want them to have to input one key at a time and cost more and take lots more time to get your Bitcoin. But the old-fashioned ways to generate keys are less safe than, say, for example, using in Coleman's generators, which we'll tell you how to get there in a second. This is just a list of stuff he offers, different tools. It's quite an awesome few bit of tools, including like explain to me like I'm 5, right there. Boop boop. Anyways, uh, so you got to handle these like the old. Basically, you need to make keys and derivatives, but sometimes you need to make brand new keys that are not derivative to anything else to hold brand new sets of coins in. And so what we're about to get into is you're going to need 3 sets of keys that are not derivative of each other. They have nothing to do with each other. Okay? Just 3 completely sets of keys that mean nothing to each other. It's not like made one and then use that to make another and then use that to... No. Make one on one device. Make another one on another device. Make another one on another device. I'll give you a few more information in a second. Let's keep going. Here, if you on this site and you click site, the very first thing, BIP39 mnemonic code converter, and you click site, and you go into the mnemonic code converter, you can tell this is not technically a generator. You can generate without converting, but if you look down, really far down, there is the actual generators down here. BIP39 generator, BIP32 generator, BIP44 generator, BIP49 generator, how to do your entropy, how not to store your entropy, how to get password protections, an alternative tool set, like the original BIP32. Look, and even here, you can use this tool offline without having to be online. Let me make this easier for everybody to read. In your browser, select the file save as, and save the page as a file. Double click the file to open your browser on any offline computer. Alternative downloads from GitHub. Boom. It's 100% FOSS. There's all the libraries and different types, so you can distribute it yourself, including straight through Twitter. And that's the point here. This site alone, what I'm on right now, can be used offline. All of his little tools that he offers can be used offline. You just simply right click on the page, go down to save the page as, and we're going to save it as a file, an HTML file. Web page complete, save it. Pretty sure that's saved. Yep, I saw it pop up the last second. See? And then let's open it up. And now we're running it offline. Oh, you can't actually see that if we are technically offline, but yeah, we're running this page offline. I'm no longer accessing servers to have access to this page. And that's the reason, this is the real reason why in Coleman's gets recommended. You can put this on anything air-gapped using keyword systems, using atomizer or anything like that on GitHub. All sorts of different tricks, or just put it on your cell phone and then get that cell phone offline or put it online ever again. So you're going to be building these forests of keys slowly as you go. So, let me, okay, let me get back to where I was. Alright, so these are HD wallets, right? This is standard, hidden risk. Be careful, make a forest of trees to generate your, basically it's like generate a forest of UTXO key sets to plant around to be able to hide your UTXOs within this forest of keys. Now we're going to go on because once you have an offline wallet, you need a secondary wallet system. Alright, so Coinomi is a really great one to use as like a coin purse. Okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and give you this now. And then we're going to have a brief chat. Alright, so basically, when you have your offline wallet, that's your secure storage, right? You're putting it on a phone or a special offline device, maybe a handheld or something. Or maybe you wrote your keys down in a little stone book. With this QR on the side, just go ahead and scan it. But anyways, you're gonna accept crypto to these keys, right? Anybody you don't know, anything that's fishy, whatever, you're gonna accept them here each time you accept something, brand new wallet. Maybe not brand new keys, but brand new wallet. And then you're gonna let them sit between 3 to 5 years. Lately, I've actually been recommending to wait 8 years, okay, before you actually start shuffling cold fund storage. That's when you take all your cold storages and drop them down into like a single wallet, like the Konomi wallet I was showing you a second ago. Just be one that you could drop stuff down into. But that's like you want to use it though. That's why you would be doing that. But if you just want to shuffle around to another cold storage wallet, same difference, same concept. You might need to use Coinomi to then put it into a coin purse to then put it back into cold storage, and that's fine. Okay, you get these running on your stuff, and you're good to go. Now, for best anonymity, you should wait as little as 6 months. Because not everybody's gonna wait 3 to 5 years to 8 years, to use Bitcoin, right? You're gonna want to use it sooner, right? So those cold storage stuff, you don't want it to wait a long time. Make sure it waits at least 6 months if it's gonna go into cold storage. And the ideal is that you don't use cold storage very often. You let it go cold. Okay. Then we have a whole nother wallet, whole nother device. That is our coin purse. All right. It's gonna allow you to generate keys on the fly, so you can accept money to wallets. And it can be on phones that see internet but are not online all the time. You can emulate on your computer to run this in a safe device that has internet access or no internet access to do what you need. And this is kind of like taking controls back into your hand in the easiest way possible. In here you can create, so basically you create cold keys, you create a derivative key, and you put that derivative key in here when you're like ready to transfer those funds out, right? Or you have this one plugged in, and you start up, and boop, go ahead and generate some new keys from in here by itself, if this is going to be its own separate thing. So Coinomi, again, I really recommend these guys for a lot of people who don't really know what they're doing. Okay, there is a better one that I've recommended before called Samurai Wallet. If you know what you're doing, Samurai Wallet's going to take care of you. But I will point out, we have done episodes on this stuff before. And so if you're like, oh, I kind of want to know more about that individually, go check them out. We've done episodes about this, so you can check it out. And if you look up there right above me, the big, oh, let me get that QRD right. The big Bitcoin questions, part 1, part 2. We've done questions about Bitcoin specifically. And if you go in there, you can find really more about like Samurai Wallet, Bitcoin Wallet, things like, or Koinomi, things like that. So go check that out after today's episode or another time. So now, basically, you have your cold storage, and now you have a wallet that you're going to be using as like a coin purse. Now, on your main phone, you're probably going to have either another Coinomi wallet on there, as well as maybe some other wallets. I actually recommend, if you're not sure about a wallet, don't put it on your main device, or your main phone, or whatever. Get an entire like bull phone that's really fairly cheap, and just throw apps on there that you're not sure about. You haven't used them before. You don't know what's going to happen. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Just throw them on that one. And let them fight it out. If you got a bad one in there, your main stuff ain't lost. And so these wallets that we're talking about now we're talking about hot wallets. We're talking about wallets that you're not going to keep money on it very long. It's going to be there to get money in and out. And that might be like your trade wallets. That might be your NFT wallets, all sorts of different things. But it's definitely not going to be like your domain name wallet. It's not going to be like your savings account wallet. You get what I'm saying? You know what? I'm going to go a little bit through the script. I have a little bit of a script here I want to point out. Only accept Bitcoins to wallets made from cold storage that have no connection to any other wallet, or to use for specific things. No, I'm not cold storage, to the coin purse wallet, because you can also use the coin purse for specific things like cross-platform trading or coin mixing. Then set up the hot wallet on your phone or secondary Konami instance app or usage, like a different phone or tablet, to have a completely separate wallet system. For example, I have a phone that I've actually adopted as a cold key wallet that has never used. It's completely air gapped. It uses QR codes for transferring, and it does not have any internet access. And then I have a phone that I use as a coin purse, and then I have a completely different phone I use as a hot wallet, which still isn't even, neither of those are even my main phone. And then I have my main phone that I use just for my stuff. And I would never put a coin purse wallet on anything that has cloud connected systems like Telegram, iCloud, or even Google Cloud, Google Apps, and things like that. So you might have to, but if it comes down to it, at least get rid of the cloud stuff on your phone. And I also point in here that it's best to separate IPs. For example, you don't want your cold storage wallet ever touch the internet, but you don't want your hot wallet and your coin purse wallet to be on the same internet either. You want them to be on different lines, or go through the special techniques to make sure they get completely different IPs, and maybe VPN on both or something. The point of it is like you want them to not be able to accidentally saturate each other with the network connection or the network calls or anything to do with your network. You want them to be as far apart from each other as possible. Maybe one landline and one mobile line, like dead serious. We do have a TLDR image, so this is not going to be accessible from the internet, so you have to come back for this. There we go. So this is it. Too long, didn't read. We have 3 wallets. Alright. Really showcases the number. I even put down to check the QR, to check the cold wallet, number 1 and number 2. So number 2 is your coin purse, number 1 is your cold wallet. Check number 1, use public keys via QR pictures. And then check number 2, you do the exact same damn thing. And so you don't do it on those devices, you do it on a different device. You check these wallets using QR images on a different device. So what's the cold wallet? It's long-term holding, as you see there at the very top. You see here on the side it says grow new trees for every new thing in every 6 months. Alright? Grow new trees for every new type of thing that you need to worry about, and every 6 months. Holdings needing anonymity goes in this wallet. And also build a UTXO forest. You see, let me try to get out of the way. Wow. I'm going to move the picture. It does say this device is never online. Now, if we scroll the picture down a little bit, you can see there's these arrows. And that's telling you how you can go in and out of those wallets. So the top one says going from the cold wallet to the coin purse when you have UTXOs ready for a new life. You're ready to use them. Now, right behind me, when you're going from the coin purse to the cold wallet, it's donations and finished trading schemes only. So I'm actually going to make myself disappear for a second, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So when you go from the coin purse to the coin wallet, the cold wallet, it is donations. Like you've been getting all donations, so you have a large lump sum you need to move, or you have trading schemes, trading funds that dropped into this wallet that are done. You're not going to use them for trading. You need to hold them for a while. You're going to drop them to cold storage. Your cold storage wallet is never online. It is air gapped if possible, and you keep it private. People don't know about it. You don't talk about it. It doesn't really exist. Your CoinPurse wallet, again, you check your CoinPurse wallet keys through QRs because it should not always be online. It should, if it ever goes online, it only needs to go online to communicate to the hot wallet, okay, or to update its information. All right. That's why you don't use the cold wallet to check the cold wallet's funds, because it don't have internet. You don't want to give it internet to check that. Use your hot wallet to check your cold wallet funds. Or maybe not that, maybe use a different one. Same thing with the coin purse. No reason to put the coin purse online if it's not, no reason to go online, just to check the keys. You could use a different thing to check the public QR code, just check the keys on a different device or on your computer. Alright, so the things that go on the coin purse, anything that you don't want to store for more than a year. So you're like, oh look, I'm not going to have this for a year. It's a year or less, put it on here. Now if it gets to a point where you have funds on here that's been on there for like over a year, just move them to your cold wallet and forget about them. Alright? Move on from those. Let them kind of let them die a little bit in your cold wallet so you can forget about it, and then later on you're like, oh wow, I got more money there than I remembered, and you'll be happy. Alright, the other things that go on your coin purse is the exchange send stuff. So anything that you want sent to an exchange from like a cold wallet or maybe overflow from the hot wallet or something, you can send from the coin purse. Okay? You don't have to, but you can. Also, you can accept donations from wallets made with the coin purse. Again, there are QRs, pictures, screenshot, move them around that way. Keep it offline as much as possible. This may be a hardware or a phone wallet. Same thing with cold wallet. It might be cold wallet, might also be a piece of paper. So, like a stone book. Okay. So number 3, or the hot wallet, you see it says live value should exist. It says should be exist. Yeah. It should be available for you. It's a live hot wallet. Okay. It should have internet. It's always online. It doesn't have to always be online, but it is always online technically. So clean the wallet identities every 1,000 transactions or once a year. Now I know a lot of people who do OX wallets like Ethereum and Solana and stuff. They're going to be wigging out on you saying, no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. I'm dead serious. I really recommend it. So what goes on a hot wallet? Hot wallet is your liquid holding, something that you're not going to hold for longer than 3 or 4 months. Okay? Something that you're probably sending and receiving from exchanges, maybe some dust, maybe some overflow from some trade-offs. Maybe you're doing some trades and you drop it into a hot wallet, so then you can trade off somewhere else later at a different trade value, and you might have some that doesn't move, and that might build up, and so hot wallet tends to send to the coin purse. Okay, if it's not sending to an exchange, it will send to the coin purse, and that's about it. It will accept a lot of stuff, and it will move stuff out, and it tries to stay near zero. So it's normally a phone or a special device, like a special hardware wallet or something. So my avatar is going to come back, and I'm going to block a lot of this. So, alright, let's do this. Alright, so I hope that really helps you here. I hope this actually answers your question for you, Bro Civ. I know this probably sounds like an insane thing, but if I had to have just like a single answer, I would say Coinomi. Coinomi does allow you to have ease of access with some kind of security, but security is somewhat based on what you put it on. So, yeah. Like most things, it's based on how you use it, right? Coinomi wallet's one of those things. Alright. Woo! Okay. Next question. Alright, let me zoom in. That's why we got the picture, so we can zoom in. Yeah, zoom in. Super question for Annoying. I don't think any of these questions were stupid, by the way. I think all these questions are really great. Is the Bitcoin network truly censorship resistant? Love that question. I get it almost every time, and I love it every time. How does the network stop bad actors from censoring transactions? How is the network secured? Is it by each node or via computing power, because I want to know how I can protect it. Alright, man. Friendly Hadfield, that is what's up. We're going to go into the actual tweet. So you guys, let's get that link for you. Boop, boop. There we go. Here is the question. Man, it's a really good question, too. No joke. So, it's 3 questions, right? Let's break this down, man. First, yes, the Bitcoin network is censorship resistant. Try to update the Bitcoin code with bad code or naughty code. And I don't mean the repo, the GitHub, nothing, but the actual code that the miners and the nodes are using. The code they're following. Get them to change their code. Believe it or not, people have done this before, where they've just changed their code. Miners were, they can request that code. And they went, hey, I want to do this too. And they updated to that code. And it was a slow sweep change in the Bitcoin network because someone decided to just try something. And it was good. So if you can do that, then it's not resistant. And I say some guy has done this. And we're saying, but that means it's not censorship resistant. Technically, that also means it is censorship resistant. Because you didn't even have to get to the GitHub to change the code. My true point is most people can't do what that one person did. That was done a long time ago, back when miners actually knew who each other were and stuff. When I say that, well, really, we didn't really know who each other were. We were just communicating in IRCs. But also, you can do a variety of tests to see that, yes, Bitcoin is censorship resistant. And we'll get more into that in a second. We're kind of going to do a little bit of a spin-off to kind of help you understand more. And then we're going to get really into how it is censorship resistant. So, well, hacking Bitcoin and blockchain, both Bitcoin and the blockchain are vulnerable to attack. Here's what you need to know to protect yourself and why the Bitcoin blockchain, blah, 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 blah. So, it's saying what is blockchain, Bitcoin a blockchain, blah, blah, blah. Bitcoin may be a bubble, but blockchain isn't. Hacking Bitcoin and blockchains. Bitcoin miner malware. Yep. You attack the miner through the program that they're using to handle the miner. So stolen value stores. Cryptocurrencies will often store the value in a file. Some stores known as wallets. Wallets can be compromised. So basically, this is a wallet attack. That's all that is. Transfer Trojans. This is when you're trying to send, it swaps your send address. This can be done to the nodes, the miners, or your phone, your computer. Most times it is done in the form of a copy-paste attack, where when you do a copy and it sees that it's an address, it pastes some other address than what you copied. But almost all computers nowadays actually have this really neat feature where you can copy anything, and it does. There is such thing as a secure paste, or a paste as plain text, which will show you if there's scripting in your pasting when you do that. So I'm gonna hit copy. This right here doesn't have paste. That's plain text right here. Oof. Most of the areas I do on my computer does. Yep, I go onto the notepad and it's immediately there. But anyways, pasting as plain text is the secret sauce for a lot of people nowadays. Implication weakness. In theory, there's no difference between theory and practice, blah, blah, blah. So basically, every so often we do have small bugs that happen from updates and stuff to implications to the crypto software, algorithms, and such. Plain text crypt attack. Good crypto makes resulting crypto text look like random gibberish. Therefore, a crypto attacker should not be able to figure out what original plain text looked like. A lot of times with some of these, it doesn't actually matter with that. What it really matters to is if you can actually unfold the SHA, and we'll get into that a bit later. But you'll notice a lot of what's going in here isn't actually attacking Bitcoin at all. It's attacking everything that we use to interact with Bitcoin. It's the user-in attack. I'll make sure you get this website in case you want to learn more. Now, if we have time, we'll look more into hacking Bitcoin later. We got to kind of go back into what we're talking about, right? So the distribution model. So the second was what's the second question? How does the network stop bad actors from censoring transactions? The distribution model and pool data model is how the network stops bad actors. Nodes and miners are forced to both find local, fast responders to their device and far, or slowest responders to the device without breaking the limits or time limits. Others to communications. And far others to communicate and get sends and listens to, but also to update itself. So it wants to just do that for basically everything. So another way you can check for censorship resistance is to make network announcements that fit the Bitcoin signature system, or base 58, and then see if it gets put into any block. You may need to mine for your own announcement to get in a block, so you can have like a free announcement or whatever, but you absolutely can do that. And many people have their miner nodes look for their own transactions to pull from the meme pool. Not many people realize that the memory pool is actually a device to secure missed transactions. It's also a safety net to catch potentially black marketed transactions or wallets. And I say that meaning if it's not OFAC compliant, it might just get stuck in the meme pool, allowing a non-OFAC compliant miner to put it onto the chain, preventing the OFAC miners from doing their job. So someone else can put them into the blocks, as I just said, right? And then one of the reasons why many of these have issues with failed transactions is that the cost money for some chains like Ethereum is because they don't have a memory pool. And that's like, you've seen so many times where people are like, oh, it failed the transaction failed, it was going through but it failed, and I lost money because I have to redo the whole thing, it just completely failed or whatever, I lost all the transaction funds. Some my NFT or blah blah blah, I got transaction funds. Well, if you had a meme pool, it would just be sitting in the meme pool. Every time someone complains about their transaction stuck in the meme pool, I say, then mine it out, but it's still better than chains without a meme pool, because you could have just lost your money and no chance of moving forward if you didn't run that transaction through your node. Which is how you prevent that from happening on like Ethereum and stuff. You have your own node and have your transactions running through your node. So now we can talk out the actual discovery part that the Bitcoin does. So as we see, this is the Satoshi client node discovery system. The Satoshi client discovers the IP address and ports of the nodes in several different ways. First, the node discovers their own external address by various methods, which we kind of just talked about a second ago. Nodes also receive a callback address of remote nodes that connect to them. Nodes also make DNS requests to receive IP addresses. Nodes can use addresses hard-coded within the software. Nodes exchange addresses within the nodes. Nodes also store addresses within databases and read those databases on startup. Nodes can also be provided addresses on the command line argument. But nodes can also read addresses from a user provided in a text file on startup. Timestamp is kept for each address. So, and if we go into the methods, basically there's a local client external address, a connect callback address. There used to be an IRC address, but there is now a DNS address, hard-coded seed addresses, ongoing adder advertisements, and then if you get down here, there's addresses stored in the database, command line addresses, and then text file addresses. So those are all the different ways you can basically know to communicate with others, find others, and so basically this is how we ensure that we can prevent censorship. There's tons of different ways to find people and communicate on the network. And I will point out that the only reason why the RC address thing doesn't work anymore is because someone found out that this existed and they just kind of fucked with it, and I got a feeling that was LOP. I don't know if it really was LOP or not, but it would randomly join an IRC channel named between Bitcoin 00 and Bitcoin 99, and then it issued a hue command. The thread read lines as they appeared in the channel and decoded the IP address of the other nodes in the channel, and then it would just do this in a loop forever until all the nodes were shut down. So, or until the node was shut down. So yeah, it's pretty bullshit, but it happens. Now, over time, there have been different points and things and whatnot that have made people wonder and question if Bitcoin truly is censorship resistant. Roger Ver says here, Roger Ver, only a node that is mining is a true full node. The rest are just slowing down the propagation of blocks between the real full nodes. That's what he said back in 2017. It is weird how people think things like this, right? But what it really points out is that if we all grouped from just people around us, then we have the potential for people like this to say, oh, no, well, I'm not going to connect all. I'm not going to allow you guys to connect to me because some of you are not full nodes running with miners. And therefore, I do not deserve to give you my data. So I got to be able to go out and be able to go otherwise. And what this basically means is like the code secures the rules which is secured by the miners and set by the nodes. This is the reason why code isn't law, but code is code. If code is law, then changing the code in one node would affect them all. But within Bitcoin, that doesn't happen. You can change and choose to run your node how you want. You can, because of tiny adjustments made by the miners and the nodes in the past, has actually kept them from getting any connections. Like, let me show you, for example, what happened after Roger Ver made that statement. There was one Lightning node no one wanted to connect to. I'm pretty sure this was after it. Yeah, it was after February 18th, 2018, or February 14th, 2018. There's one Lightning node no one wants to connect to per Roger Ver, because the name of the Lightning node, which you can't see here anymore, it actually said its name was Roger Ver. And there were 700 Lightning nodes on the mainnet with 1,700 open channels. And you guys ready to revolution to start? Buy, hodl, borrow money, blah, blah, betray. And yeah, people hitting on him, saying on him, but it's like people just did not want to connect to it because it just said Roger Ver on the node name. Tiny little adjustments can really mess you up. And it was really to point out, like Roger Ver was making statements that, like, he was Bitcoin Jesus and stuff like that. And so people were like trying to show that in the Bitcoin community, he was not as important as he thought he was, or as he used to be. So no one is stopping Roger Ver, or the actual owner of this Roger Ver node, from creating another node, get connections, and, you know, retribution throughout the network, and then later connect to that Roger Ver node to get that Roger Ver node into the actual network. This is a proof of censorship resistance. While Roger Ver said having to go through hoops was proof of censorship, and it wasn't even Roger Ver's node, according to him at the time. But really, going through the hoops isn't really going through the hoops, it's just going through the next process to get there. It's going through the next step to get there. Not everything is as quickly as 1, 2, 3. Now, if you do need help running a node, I want you to come here. This is one of the good ones for information on setting up a node. We're not going to go through it, just tons of data, different ways to do it, different systems, Linux, Windows, OS, Mac. Here you go. I think the next one said as well was good. And then here are 3 different ways to run your own Bitcoin node, from easy, more difficult, hardest. And this has got videos and other things to help you along, so that way you can have all the access to get it done yourself. Again, because we're here to make sure you have what you need to get it done. Because I can sit here and say things all day, but it's a matter of getting you something that you can use, right? Getting you all the tools and access to the stuff is what I'm trying to do. So the TLDR for this question, which is a 3-step question, it really is, Bitcoin is protected by not relying on one thing to protect it. To participate in the protection, mine Bitcoin of any hash rate through any number of miners over the number of 1 of nodes you run. So if you have one node, you should run at least 2 miners. If you have, like, so you have 3 nodes running, you should be running at least 5 miners. Wait, 4 miners. My bad. So these little things like that can really help you go far. But if anything, run full nodes, non-full nodes, so that way you can have like one for faster data and one for full history data. APIs. If you just want to help maintain code, and that doesn't even have to like edit code, just give access for people to access the code to run Bitcoin, the software, then that there alone is helping protect it. So basically, mine any former node or multiple nodes, as long as you're not just running straight nodes, because you should have 1 miner per node, and if you're running more than 1 node, you should have at least 1 extra miner. And I am a big fan of 2 miners, 1 node, or as many miners as you can per node. And then, but also the code, it needs to be verified, maintained, and allowed for people to obtain it. And a lot of times with maintaining, that's half what you need to do, is where people can access the new and old code. That's how you can help secure it. Mine it, have nodes so you have a copy of the history, have a node so you have a copy of most recent activity, have old code and new code, and allow people to access the code. Really, that's it. That's how you do it. All right, next question. Let me take a sip. Sorry, I had to get some coffee there. All right, so this is a good question. What would the response be to blankety? All right. Let's get to the actual question. Here it is. Let me get you that link. My ninja. What is your response to this Whitney Webb's question? All right, well, let's get into the Whitney Webb's question. Here is the woo doggy, the long of it. The biggest banks in car. The biggest banks and a charade of spooky currency speculators have funded and now control most of the infrastructure underlying Bitcoin energy chips, ISPs, and general crypto infrastructure. That doesn't even make sense. With the only openly stated goals having it to be innocent asset, you don't and can't spend. The U.S. government and the small elite faction hold most of the Bitcoin, and once their financial control grid is complete, inflate the price through the roof. As Catherine Austin says, look, the more I get into this, the more I can't read this. This is like, it really is bad. This person is complaining about the price of Bitcoin going up. Why you're talking like the Bitcoin's controlled by somebody or something? As Catherine Austin Fitts has said of the elite's plans, once you sold everything, you want to move it to this deflationary system. These elites who have a lot of ties with the Epstein network hold a lot of Bitcoin collectively in when currencies implode, which is something currency speculators who back much of the crypto, like a lot of this is a lot of, I can't read this. If you want to actually read what this person actually has to say, I'm just going to give you a link to what they say, or however it is listed today, because I got a script here that actually, I've already read it all and broke it down, so I'm just going to go to that. So we're going to break this down into 3 sections. The first section is mostly bullshit, and I say 3 sections. You see, there's 1 section, 2 section, 3 section. So the first section is mostly bullshit and lies that commonly are spread around the big BTC echo chambers. Nothing about Bitcoin is controlled because it doesn't take anything specific to communicate with the network in-chain. Much of the resource and materials online are centralized. Tons of Bitcoin tours are centralized. But also quite a bit of the FOSS inside of Bitcoin the centralization, and let me re-say that. A lot of the centralization within Bitcoin is FOSS. It's free and open source software. And that's the reason why it seems so centralized. Because it's FOSS, it's open to be distributed. The code is also open to be changed and edited and made onto without changing the original. And so this allows for a lot of modified versions of the same thing. This is actually what is commonly done, so it looks like from an outsider perspective that everything is centralized because it all uses Ian Coleman maths and blah 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 misunderstood bullshit. For example, I refused to use Ian Coleman for a long time because it wasn't the best at its time. It was when it first came out. And then a few years later, in 2006, 17 or 18, an insane number of updates later as well, it was worth the use. It's the beauty of FOSS. Anyone can do it and change it and verify it, etc. So, like for example, they said the infrastructure underlying Bitcoin, energy. No, okay, energy does not need to be used for Bitcoin. That's bullshit. Okay, you can mine Bitcoin by hand. Chips. No, chips is something I eat like potato, and there is no single producer of chips. Okay, there's chips from all over. I use cell phones to mine Bitcoin. Like, you don't need any specific chip to freaking mine Bitcoin. You just need a chip that can do it. That can handle the maths. Now, there are specific chips made, ASICs. A lot of those are made by one group of providers, but it's a group of providers, not a single provider. ISPs, Internet Service Providers. Internet Service Providers has nothing to do with Bitcoin. General crypto infrastructure has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not anything fucking else. Everything else that they try to add on top of Bitcoin has nothing to do with Bitcoin. I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough. Okay, so the second part, I've actually covered some years ago. I had like an aha moment episode back when I was doing like online podcasts. So if you actually want to know that in its entirety, like I explained how we're getting set up to be in a thing to where they're going to basically one day the government's going to say, hey, look, you need to put all your money into this this fiat equivalent of ours that we're having, this digital dollar thing, because you don't have a choice. Like the actual currency, we're going to make it illegal. It's just going to be criminal use only for physical bills. And that also means your credit as well. And all your debt and everything will transfer over, but none of your credit will. So you need to do blah, blah, blah to have your money and your debt and your credit. And I'm like, your money and your credit transferred over so that way you don't just show up with a whole lot of debt. And I explain it in a bunch of these episodes, specifically number 27 and number 11, or like the number 2 really good ones that explain it the most. But there's actually 3 episodes in here. I don't remember which one the other one was that actually explains what I'm talking about. And well, you can only come in here, but now we're going to explain the short line of it here in a second, or right now. So of course, the powers and control of anything wants to control Bitcoin. It's always been known it would happen, which is why the founding Satoshi chose to do everything the way they did. This is why it's important to not look for Satoshi Nakamoto, because it's a perspective. In cryptography, it is how you use it. I mean, Bitcoin, crypto, everything. Cryptography is how you use it. Bitcoin is an amalgamation of a bunch of older concepts and ideals that had some provable success for some reason, and they were all false. And so that way it could always be kept in the hands of the people. And believe it or not, even Bitcoin was given to those whom can uphold it better. So people are expected to mine Bitcoin for payment for work to maintain Bitcoin, including just allowing access to the code, wallet data, wallets, etc., available for free, but also to maintain its node, its integrity, and its chain information. So you're important to run your own node for your own node's integrity of the chain information. So these last 2 bits, if anything, are the same thing. And what I mean by these last 2 bits, from this person right here, these very last 2 bits right here, are basically the same thing. Bitcoin is as it. I just realized my background's still up. Hold on a second. On this thing right here, we got these two last little bits, and that's what I'm talking about right now. So these last two bits are basically the same thing. So Bitcoin is as it's used. No one can make changes on it via will or wealth. For the miners to decide the code that gets followed. This could easily, this very easily cause a formal split. Like you could eventually have like a BTC chain and an XTC chain, or XBTC chain, or X. There's all different ways that you could have like the um, XBT thing, XTC thing, and then the regular Bitcoin thing. But regardless, if the entities being mentioned are not careful, they will end up with a different chain looking for people wishing to be according to the law on their XTC chain. And they'll never actually find the people on the Bitcoin chain because they'll be off the Bitcoin chain. The too long didn't read. Ugh, sorry, I'm trying to get my mouse in the right spots. So the too long didn't read is posts like this and by the actions of some of the entities mentioned by this post are actually an attack on Bitcoin. Making Bitcoin seem taken over may get many people to then follow government regulation recommendations instead of standing up for their freedom and just doing as they want to have see on chain. For better context, I'm given the same answer I give to people when they ask or say Bitcoin isn't as good as any other chain or Bitcoin split, which is all cryptocurrency, as if you use it, you don't use BTC as good as the others, if you will never be for you. Wait, what? Oh, the answer I give to people is so basically when people are like, Bitcoin is not as good as blah, 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 I normally say basically, if you think Bitcoin is taken over, then it isn't only is for you. Like, if you think Bitcoin isn't as good as some other chain or whatever, then Bitcoin never will be as good for you as that chain. And that's the plain and simple truth. Like, there's nothing I can point to say, here's the proof data on that, because it is, you just have to use Bitcoin completely as a super user to figure it out. And we've kind of already started talking about that on this episode alone, and tons of other episodes we have that too. So we're gonna go into the next question, which is, you guys can't see it. What Bitcoin transactions are blocked by miners, or from, and to what addresses, and who is requesting this and why? Now, hold on a second. This is pretty confusing. It's lacking direct context. But let's be frank about this anyways. Let's get you the actual question. Here is the link to the actual question. Boom, boom, boom. All right, first off, there's a huge chance they are asking about the OFAC, or the U.S. government-backed office, body, blah, blah, foreign assets, blah, 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 control. We covered that earlier. However, I did hint at this earlier. There is a chance they're asking if miners themselves are blocking addresses and whom would be requesting this and why. So if it's the second thing, let's start at the back. Why? It's pretty simple, unfortunately. Some people just want more information and data from others. It's an internet phenomenon that the world governments, including the USA, have only continued to keep truthfully correct, instead of just truthfully incorrect. That, well, some people just want more information and data from others. It's really with truthfully being truthful that only an observer or experiencer can experience that truth. So, whom would be questioning this? Well, before I direct answer, let's look at the nodes and see what they can request between each other, because that might help narrow it down. Here we go. Bitcoin developer. That's right, boys. We're getting into the raw data. Alright, so, where am I at? Basically, here's everything that can be asked for. There's a lot of stuff here. So let's make this a little bit easier to digest. What most likely would you be asking for? to block something. Get peer info. It's a request that you can see. We can ask for a ton of info, like IP addresses, network type, service offer, the services running on the node. This may include one day the OFAC or government compliance info or services. Their last send out transaction, their last seen transaction, the time offset from us, how the connection type is limited, or how this connection type happened, which is a limited answer. Connection type to the network, where the nodes start looking on chain, their band score, their last sync headers, blocks, check relevancy, and if set with defaults or whitelisted. And any permissions, if it has, like for example, OFAC might show up here one day, and minimum fee rate that this peer accepts. Tons. Ooh, a lot of stuff here. We're going to go to the next one. Here we can see list ban. So theoretically, there could be an extension or service you could offer on top of your node to allow others to ask for your ban list plus ban score, and for them to then post theirs either to chain as an empty send to you with other special information set for allowances by both, or to a Dropbox address or node address or even server address. So just Dropbox you the data. So you can see there's a lot less here, but we're just basically listing what's banned, the address, when it happened, and until when it ends, or if it ends. So here's how we can set ban. All right. Here you can set ban in a few different ways. Looks like 4 different ways. First off, you just basically say, hey, look, here's the IP address, set the ban. You can command it to set the ban. Or it says subnet, the IP subnet set. Oh, you can actually ban an entire IP subnet. Woo! Dang. You can command an entire subnet to be banned. You can have a ban time. Or an absolute, in discussion, is banned. There you go. And you can ban, like I said, sets of IPs, subnets, or just the straight up IP itself. So, the answer was intriguing to you, then maybe you would like to search through your public nodes. But basically, like, can I get my peers' ban score from my node? Correct. There's no provision in the P2P network that allows your peers to tell you the ban score. They've computated for you. Since each node connected to you separately computates one on its own rule sets, there's no way for you to confidently know your ban score unless you have some sort of monitoring that knows all the ban score rules and the full nodes connect to you. You could get a rough idea by running a separate Bitcoin Core node that connects to your node using the whitelist option, and then with whitelisting enabled, Bitcoin Core will still calculate the ban score and print debug.log. And it will never disconnect because of a high ban score. So the ban score doesn't stop it from connect and disconnect. It's mostly used for relevance. Like, is you banning more people than me, or am I banning more people than you? Things like that. And so, if you are interested in this stuff, like I said, there is ways to just straight up explore the nodes. I kind of hinted this in a video earlier this week. But yeah, there really is a way to like search through your nodes on the network, and just go through them and see what they got going on. See all the different stuff. Yeah, like, why not? Look at all the different Stoshis. Oh, look, we got some knots and Omni going. Ooh, baby! Ooh, baby! PDC wire! Oh, damn! Bitcoin! No, real Bitcoin gang. 9999999. Alright. I'm sorry, I had to get off track topic. Just yeah, we're looking at nodes. Why not? I just thought this was a fun thing you could do. You can do some couple different sites too. Like for example, there's CoinDance. That kind of gives you information simply based off of that type of data. So here we can see there's this many Bitcoin Core nodes, this many Bitcoin knots, many BTCs, Bitcoin cores. Oh, my bad, but BTCDs, USAF nodes, Bitcoins, TRBs, library Bitcoins, Bitcoin Unlimiteds, and Bitcoin Classics. Um, we can see the nodes statically. We can see them historically. All sorts of information here. Um, and you see there's a lot of different types of nodes where they barely get any real use, and then other forms are just like super heavily done. All the information you know about all the different kinds of node types, core types, things like that, what that really means. And here's another list of the Bitcoin nodes. So cool. So we can actually check people around us and stuff like that. Like, there's no reason why we can't, you know, figure stuff out. So there's a slight chance. What they're really meaning is in regards to transactions. So say the site might help you understanding or ensuring that your transactions go through. But there's a chance that they meant transactions being blocked, like again, OFAC. But there's still a chance that they might be having problems getting transactions on chain, and people might be telling them, "Oh, your transaction got blocked. Your transaction got blocked," when it's really just in the meme pool. And so here's some stuff to just kind of figure out what happened, why, and how to fix it, how to prevent it. So you don't have to keep listening to bullcrap people say, "Well, I just changed my nonce, I recalculated my nonce," or something like that. And it's like, come on, stop lying to me. But here's common reasons it fails. They're got them listed on the side and the actual things here, and yeah, it's quite helpful for a lot of people. Now, if we go into the actual Bitcoin developer completely, I wanted you to have access to all of their stuff. So here is Bitcoin P2P network explanation, which does have like different things in here, and it has like visuals to help you kind of guide you along. And a lot of people, they will read the bullet points and then they look at the pictures and and then if they get a feel like, oh yeah, I want to learn more about this, then they look more into each section. So you don't have to worry about just going into it directly. And yeah, you want to know how, why, what, when, where, here you go. And here you go. Take note on both types of broadcasting mechanisms placed to punish misbehaving peers who take up bandwidth and computing resources by sending false information. If a peer gets band score above the blink threshold, they will be banned by the number of seconds defined by the band time score. Well, the band time score, which you can set yourself for your node. All right, I think we're ready for the next question. Believe it or not, I don't have it too long. Didn't read for this one because I feel like this like the last little bit right here was the too long didn't read, this misbehaving node thing. That really is, I think, the too long didn't read. So the next question is, let me get it so you can see it. How do you see Bitcoin being used in the year 2034? Will people still be hodling, or do you think it will be used for goods and services more than it is now? Let's get to the actual question, and I'm gonna give you kind of like my honest, too long didn't short answer up front, and then we'll give you the answer I have written down. So here's the actual question. Me personally, I see about the same. Like right now, it's about 75 HODL, 25 use. Percentage by on-chain. So if you look on-chain and stuff, you see most of the coins, about 75% of the coins, just kind of sitting around. And then you see a good 25% of coins being used. And we can say that per day. And I don't mean that like you see the same 75% sitting around, blah, 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 blah. It's just you tend to see only about 25% active at any point in time. And if you take out how much of that is just block rewards, we're talking closer to like 12% activity at any point in time. And I think maybe it'll go up a little bit. but that's definitely going to be a very slow, long growth curve. It's 2034. You'd probably be closer to real-time activity at any point in time, and not including block rewards, would be something like 26 to 33%, if you're lucky. So like right now, we're probably 12 or less percent per day. Now, we're just going to go into the actual answers that I got set up for you guys. This is a three-part question. Let's start. By the year 2034, I don't see too much change from how it is right from now. More people will be using handheld, not always a phone, devices for banking, but cards and other services will still be around, even if they look different. For example, I expect services like Bitrefill to be more accessible to more peoples by then, and for there to be an entire global wealth system for digital, crypto, virtual, and online fiat currencies. So you will see more places accepting Bitcoin, for example, because their payment processor accepts it, not the company itself. It'll be a thing where people are using Bitcoin and don't have a clue, and others will be using it much like today, willingly and on purpose. So let's get into the very first thing I already mentioned, Bitrefill. If you're not using Bitrefill, go ahead and use it, and you can use it anonymously. Why are you not using it anonymously? Who are you? I don't know. But the next part is the last two questions at once. I do believe HODL all coins for a period, which I kind of talked about earlier with the three-step process for handling Bitcoin. You want to HODL some for a long period. You know, there was a HODL time for each one of those wallets. And I think that there would be more common that it would probably be where like people say they tend to spend crypto or virtual coins as soon as they get them. And or example is publicly everyone will say, "Oh, I don't hodl," but in secret they do. So it's a sovereign coin. They are probably spinning as fast as they can, you know, or AFAC GT. Get them as fast, spin them as fast as they can get them to exchanges to actually offset the laws to the exchange, and then that will be their exit at batch points for tax reasons and things like that to actually exit to their cold wallet. So that way they can go, oh no, I don't hodl, when they really do. I do think that businesses will always be permitted to hold, and many crypto people already get a business license at the moment for mostly bragging rights or whatever, or to do quick run schemes. But later on, it will be more for like practical tax reasons, like to keep their tax payments as low as none or as low as possible. Just kind of like they do now when people are using entity form tax filing. So I need to get into this bit because I think that by the time 2034 comes up, hacking will be more of how it's going to be used. And a lot of times, Bitcoin hacking isn't hacking Bitcoin, right? But there are things you can use, there are tools that it's considered hacking Bitcoin that are actually really helpful. Now, this is like a great resource to what hacking tools there are. Use these at your own risk. Like this here, Bitcoin hacking tools, the SMH17. It's an entire list of non-malware based attacks. We'll go like that. We'll look at that in a second. This is seed generator, seed phrase generation, and checker. Crypto wallet seed phrase checker. All of these I'm always a little bit sus about. Crypto wallet cracker, I'm always sus about these, but these tend to be more commonly found. Multi-thread Bitcoin brute force for SegWit address. This is literally just brute forcing your way into someone's private keys. A wallet stealers will steal it off of people's stuff. Steal the passphrase from Trust Wallet and MetaMask wallets. The Doozy Core, my Bitcoin fork with many useful branches of different purposes. The free crypto port, the wallet stealer. I mean, like nice hash attack miner, the Vector 76, cracker finder, algorithm vulnerability, brute force checker, or actually that one's technically, it is going to brute force your wallet open. Bitcoin lottery keys, the stealers, like use all these completely on your own. Don't trust this verify by GitHub crap. Be careful on everything. Everything in here is potentially just will steal something from you. So be careful. But these tools, maybe they can help you out figure out new things. Like, for example, let's look at that SMH17. Private key harvesters, Electrum Cracker, Brain Flyer, Brute Force Wallet, Wallet Collision Checker, the ECDSA Private Key Recovery System, the Large Bitcoin Collider Pull Script. You want to learn how things work? Break it. Alright, so this is a similar but different list. And you see these are a little bit more of like your BS ones. But they do have some stuff in here that you don't see very often. Like a WBTC flash tool for flash loans. So Bitcoin flashing software, Thunder Bitcoin, 30 seconds of code, less hacking, more tools. Still use at your own risk. I want to point out that there are tons of sites and stuff that like they'll show you exactly what to do some kind of Bitcoin hacking or whatever. And normally it's just through an advice. And we've actually covered this on a previous episode. So I'm not going to go into anything. I just want to point out that if you're trying to do something specific, there might be something already out there to help you out, just to get you into where you need to be pretty quickly. So the too long didn't read, truly for this one is, if people are going to be using the slight vulnerabilities in things to get the most utility out of their Bitcoin later on. But yeah, it definitely will be used more for regular people, regular things more often. And that's something that's always been slowly getting more of than anything else. Basically, the more you hear people preaching at the top of their lungs about how no one's using Bitcoin, that's normally opposite on chain. Normally, there's actually tons of people using Bitcoin. So this next question, I don't have a person to put in front of you. I'm just gonna, we're gonna ask the question. It's a very short question. What are the dangers of AI and quantum computing in relation to Bitcoin? So these were actually two different questions that I think their answers are so close to the same that we should just put it into one group. So quantum computing and AI will eventually be used to crack your individual passcodes or used to brute force into your locked keys one day. Now keep in mind, this is like a not black and white as I'm making it seem. So it's a little bit more convoluted than what I'm saying, but I'm going to keep it as simple as possible, so it's going to seem very black and white, but it's not. It's very gray. So what I really mean is basically there are data computing AIs that can basically shift data from and for quantum computing machines. So as more of these quantum computing devices exist and become available through API, then the easier it will be for more people, including scammers and platforms, to actually have reliable quantum-backed artificial intelligence networks, or QBINets. So we're going to go into some papers, and we're not going to read through them or anything. We're going to allow you guys to have access to them. So I just got to put this in context of what's going on. So here we go. Here is RX, so one of the Cornell University things that we're going to go to, quantum neural networks, concepts, applications, and challenges. Ooh-wee. Here's the actual paper, like we almost always do. And it says here I need to review sections 1B and sections 2A. So if we go here, 1... Wait, where was B? 1. is A. A. Okay. We're just gonna go down here. So set to 1 point B, 2 point A. How did that? It says 1 point B. I don't see 1 point B. But I do see a 2 point A. So 2 point A is variable quantum circuits. Oh, I know what we're looking at. Look, quantum mirror networks. So basically, okay, I see it now. I need to zoom in. So basically, what we're going into when we come into it, we're going to have quantum neural networks here. Networks that work with quantum states and stuff, blah, 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 but they're basically like AI states. And this is more like how they actually end up looking like, with their multi-sectional states working on different devices, all to have like one formal output. So a lot of this drops down into quantum deep learning, which is a variational quantum circuit system. And then there's also quantum convolutional neural networks, which are controlled by physical devices, which are applications of quantum deep learning, reinforcement learning. So we can actually use the same systems when we're going in with backtracking. We can reflow back into them to ensure that we have the right output, and to basically have a guaranteed learning. Now they do have problems in here, like there's gradient vanishing, stuff tends to disappear, things kind of get warped. An input can sometimes be an output can sometimes be an input, which is very confusing for the system. But if we go to this quantum information paper right here, or an article on a paper that you can actually download from here. You can actually, I did download this PDF. The PDF does download right here. There you go. There's the link. So, quantum generative adversary networks with multiple superconducting qubits. Generative adversarial networks are an emerging technique with wide applications in machine learning, which have achieved dramatic success in a number of challenging tasks, including image and video generation. When equipped to quantum processors, their quantum counterparts, called quantum generative adversary networks or QGANs, may even exhibit exceptional advantages. Now, adversary networks is an attack. That's what adversary networks means. So the interplay between quantum physics and machine learning gives rise to an emergent research frontier of quantum machine learning that has attracted tremendous attention recently. In particular, certainly carefully designed quantum algorithms for machine learning, or more broadly artificial intelligence that may exhibit exponential advantages compared to their best classical counterparts. Result, first we introduce a general recipe for a QGAN, and then we apply it to two basic scenarios, learning quantum states and their classic XORs. The quantum structure of the QGAN is outlined in figures, and which includes label input and real resources, a generator and a discriminator, and a quantum gradient subroutine. Here they are. So, that don't mean a whole lot. It does mean that this is a multi-part section or system for AI, which I know is the least reliable, or has been, until recently. This article is from last year. This is to an actual paper that you can download from here as well. So, I'm sorry, I was looking for what it says. An invitation to distribute quantum neural networks. So they were like, hey, in this paper, we extend the ideal of distribution deep learning to quantum neural networks by reviewing and consolidating the existing literature. Our aim is to make more concrete of the current set of vaguely similar ideals, directing the research toward a more unified and directed goal for quantum QNNs. We define a distributed QNN as learning algorithm employable by multiple quantum computer systems, or QPUs, which we also refer to as nodes. Oh, it's a way to scale multi-part AI with quantum systems. Damn. here's the maths. Woo! Yeah, that's basically allowing you for a lot more complex neural network, all within inside the same structure set. And it scales better too. Oh boy, does it scale better. Has actually two forms of scaling that it does simultaneously, which does make it really, really good. So stuff like this would allow a chatbot to query enough information from you, scraping or scrape from the internet for an AI to be used to consider the most likely choices for your passcode, and then pass that data through quantum computing APIs to get multiple answers at once that the AI can then try at a time at once to put in all possible likely answers simultaneously to socially hack anything and everything you have online. Scales twice, two different directions. Not only could we be trying every possible answer that we got from their quantum output, it's done instantly. Second outputs, it's just done simultaneously with the output. Thank you, AI, which is algorithms. So there's this thing that says solving the quantum mini problem or mini body problem with artificial neural networks. Oh, so there's a way to artificially create neural networks that actually makes a better multi-set system, because then instead of waiting for the rest of the neural network to respond, you can just simulate the neural network, and then when you get a response, check it, and then correct the output later. And it's really reliable. Ooh, is it reliable? It's really, really reliable. This is, whew. This basically was like, hey, with this, we can work around a lot of different maths in a lot of different ways. And that allows for, well, a clear proof for quantum AI. Yeah, yeah. The breakthrough to make the idealized concept is becoming an actual reality. And I wish it wasn't, but it really is. This is the big brother AI. Now, the real world example is that if you were going to get arrested for anything after getting the physical data from you, like picked from the two sides, your CCTV footage for your walk, posture, stance, sway, Bob, and personal identifying information like name, address, race, height, weight, etc., 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 they can just scrape it and use it as fast as possible. Sometimes instantly getting it almost what seems like instant access to a lot of information. So you think there's no such thing as physics-informed neural networks for quantum control? Remember that thing that we kept seeing called quantum gradient? What if we could control that gradient? And what if we could control all the things inside of that quantitatively with inside of itself? Well, they can. Here you can actually download the paper. I do believe we have the paper. Of course we do. And, oh, no. What? We always have the paper. Oh, no, there's another ones where you have to download from here. They do not, I could not get a public use copy. So then we come in here, and we'll be like, hey, look, don't worry. AI can already sweep the internet for anything on you, including non-public internet data like evidence files for potential crimes you committed that haven't been solved yet. Like, this is already in existence. And then if they find any QRs, non-standard electronic devices, hashes, key phrases, or such anything on your devices, there's AIs already designed to, well, do something about it. Sorry, I gotta put up a button. That is really just one example. So to continue the example we're going, they can then attempt with each answer a list of possibilities quantitatively across their AI. So then by the time you get to see the judge for the first time, they know your income, your crypto balances, your tax evaded, and every potential crime you've ever done. So they can get you for everything all at once. Kind of has there's a movie with that title. similarly, which actually hints at this type of world. Ish. Outside of this, I guess they figuratively hint at this type of world. Outside of this, and many other similar use cases that we'll get into in a minute, AI and quantum computing has no dangers with crypto. However, crypto could use quantum computing to pack UTXOs better, or AI to ensure always compatible transfers. But that's not a danger, but a tool for useful help. So that could also be used against us, though. Easily side port that data for on-the-fly chain updates for the API hosts that you're using to, unpack those UTXOs or ensure you always have compatible transfers. So the too long didn't read really is in the hands of the police, government, and companies. AI and quantum will be used against us, but not to directly attack Bitcoin. Sure, AI and quantum can be used to guess the most likely possible next hash, but they will also have to announce it in a similar manner as everyone else to compete with everyone else doing the same thing. Very quickly, then, the AI and quantum possible attack to the chain or network becomes mute, as the same exact tech could actually be used against it for a silent, unseen war that raises transaction fees for non-super users. And if you guys remember, right before Ethereum went over to proof of stake, that was actually happening. There was an unseen transaction bid war for NFT minting sites to ensure the NFT minting sites could always get the next block to ensure that the things they guaranteed would happen. So AI and quantum is better suited to crack your passwords or your handle devices than to crack your Bitcoin. Okay. Next question. Let me get some more to drink. Oof. Whoa, how long was my mic off? Dang. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. Hold on. Because I don't have people coming in and chatting. I don't know how long it was off. Trying to get something to pop up so we can look. Of course, Twitter doesn't pop up on my phone for some reason ever. And I'm pulling up YouTube now. Going into the live. Man, it is really quiet. I don't know why the mic is always so quiet. I have it up as loud as it can. Looks like I'm in Katsumi's question when it disappeared. Alright, so we lost audio almost 20 minutes ago. Oh, I feel so... Gosh darn. Sorry, Kitsune. I don't know how... Let's see. I'm in Kitsune. And I don't hear it. It's difficult for me to get it put in the spot. Okay. Let's go back to the start of Kitsune's question. Could AI compromise Bitcoin in any way? Oh. Okay. Sorry. What could Bitcoiners do if and when in the long run AI is able to do something crazy to those so-called empowered to use or subscribe to the Bitcoin Open Network? Simply, could AI compromise Bitcoin in any way? For example, something outlandish like impersonate a developer, user, or a miner, or steal Bitcoins or modify code, if that's possible. So the last part of this, AI is not actually needed to impersonate people. Okay? Any algorithm can impersonate people. Most impersonations of a person is just documentation being written and things being submitted. So in that concept, technically already any developer could be impersonated. Unless you're actually doing like a video call or a phone call or some person-to-person thing. You gotta look at the impersonation ideal as, well, it's already possible. It's just almost everything in the world right now is possible as a digital document. And there's no real way to prove anything you're doing anyway. So that's why we're like not worried about a lot of this. But there is some stuff here that you're like hinting in the right direction of things. Because there is stuff people are not thinking about then when it comes to AI. Now, to the actual answer, this very closely runs along the previous question when we were talking about, let me go to the other question, the dangers of AI and quantum computing. So this comes very close to that. So I wanted to do it right after, but using AI and quantum to attack Bitcoin, again, no. So we're going, sorry, I'm getting my spot back. So for as many people that do not want the responsibility, and for as many corporations that do want to mitigate responsibility or as much responsibility as possible, the more chances of AI neural networks will be used in handling our wallets, keys, passwords, and etc. And one of the big points there is like, well, let's give you Kitsune's actual question. One of the big points that we can say is like, has anybody lost crypto from stuff like password managers or anything like that? And it's like, well, actually, yeah, because of like a LastPass breach, lots of people have lost crypto keys, and they go check their keys and the crypto and it's gone, and like it's already been swept. And so, how did this happen? Where an employee's home computer was hacked, which just happen to have access to the last fast data and the way to unencrypt it, which technically, when you go find out how that happened, it was a bit confusing because the password manager's cloud service they use to handle cross-platforming for users, that cloud service's database was what's technically got hacked, and that's where all the keys came from when they then got the user here, the employee. That's how they were able to get access. So then this kind of opens up the example of like, well, anything with cloud of any kind is then basically dangerous for attack. But it gets worse because AI of anything is then dangerous for attack. And that's when we have to really go, okay, what is the bigger horror here? Is it, it's kind of AI itself, isn't it? And I'm trying to get that right now. AI already has access to our code. It doesn't need to impersonate us. It already has access to the code. It's just a matter of time before AI can change that code on its own whenever it wants, with or without our permission. And then the worst problem comes from something hiding within AI. Well, AI-generated malware is a serious problem, especially since AI-generated malware can also be spread through AI networks, like a mind virus. And it was even designed, some of them were even designed to be used in this way. So many people are thinking outside the box with AI. But in reality, not long ago, some AI researchers looked inside AI as the box to find out that AI could actually pass on skills to other AI, including some form of malware in the AI. Not just AI-generated malware, but AI-generated malware that has affected an AI and has malformed the AI. Well, it can be transferred from one AI to another without humans needing to input anything or interact. Well, simply cloud services, password managers, and online diaries have accidentally leaked data keys in the past and have caused many people to lose their crypto. So it won't be long before AI will be doing it too. AI is in, which is just a slight combination of the three services I just mentioned, but with extra services on top of it, like language models and such. I think this is the best way AI can interfere, as like it's to holding the responsibility basically. So besides the point it just made, when AI is used for quantum machines to scrub the internet for profiling you, then given the best case scenario to then quantitatively um, sorry, I lost my place. Um, okay, so this whole AI, talk to AI thing gets worse. It's not just the fact of the AI. One of the ways that this worked was the fact that both AIs use SQL databases and Python scripting. And believe it or not, this shows a loophole there that we've kind of talked about before, where now it really is APIs can actually be used to search your database because it's SQL database with inside your machine, even if your machine is offline. Apps can be used to ask other apps questions to get information about other apps around it on your machine because it's Python encoded in SQL database. And so now only devices that are output only air gap devices, or devices not relying on modern SQL databasing techniques of the x64 and x86 computing systems, but also any devices not programmed with Python or have Python installed, because Python is subjectable to the same exact attack because the standard databasing technique in Python is SQL. Means you got to be really careful about not only what systems you use, what machines you use, what hardware you use, but what systems you connect to, what hardware they use, what systems they use, and so on and so forth. So the too long didn't read for this one is, yes, AI can be a very strong problem. And in the future, with AI controlling major code repos, but they already have access to most of them nowadays. AI could just be used to force you to mine an opposite of profit, as you would normally use AI to get the most profit at all times. Well, AI could be used to make sure you lose the most amount of money at all times. AI, if used to control something, is taking that out of your hands or the AI controller's hands. For AI does what it's told to do and nothing more. But that also means that AIs can make AIs do what AIs want to do, not what you want to do. And AIs can literally begin to hive mind without someone noticing. Prompt to database reprogramming may be new, but it is used. Also, don't trust. And with all AI, you have to trust something other than yourself. And you should never trust AI because AI cannot be verified. There's a few more things I want to go into before I move on because they don't directly have to do with this, but they do. Okay, there is right here a quantum API, so you can have access to quantum machines. There is public quantum APIs. So you have an AI. Do you want to be quantum backed? Here you go. Make it easy. Done. There. Ready to go. Okay. Next question. Now I don't have a picture for this question either. So I'm just going to say it. What if SHA-256 is ever hacked or compromised? The answer doesn't make much sense, but technically SHA-256 is compromised. Meaning we already know the mask to unlock it or to open the SHA-256. We've actually covered this in our last big Bitcoin questions. Again, you can come over here. Let me open that up for you. And you can just watch these last two to figure it out, find out. So if you want to rediscover those maths, boom, two-parter, there you go. But we got a little bit more to unwrap here because we can actually look at the cryptographic function itself, and we can do a little bit more fun stuff on top of that. So here is the cryptographic function. We can see it. You can see I was looking down into it. We can see how to do it. More importantly, we are going to see where we end to. We're going to see the endpoint, how it's set up, and the structure points. So believe it or not, that's really all you need. Boom. Broken. Everybody knows the way to do it now, right? No, like it's still very complicated, and I think that's kind of the point. So this plays right here. It's all about cryptography. It kind of breaks it down. This person asks a question, so it's going to refer to that and then answer, and then refer to it and answer again. So the first of all of my assumptions are above are correct, which are the most simplest and most bottom line assumptions. What would the complexity of the 3 attacks be? I'm curious what unit, like a number, blah blah blah, implies. Is it a floating operation? Is it something to be run? Almost. The number is the number of times the primitive, in this case the trial, must be called to break the algorithm in order to find a primitive or collision. And then they said, again, up here, I'm aware that SHA-256 is deemed secure by today's computational power. It's likely that increasing computational power becomes a threat to this over the next years. And he said, nah, SHA-256 will not be broken because of computational power. When you attack the hash function using brute force, the computation takes longer and longer and longer. However, the way most people extract data from SHAs is like looking at the collisions and such. I actually have a thing here, I think it explains it. Oh yeah, my too long didn't read actually explains it the best. Anything here we read here is just going to basically say the same thing. SHA's 256 breaks math is known. It is technically compromised. The math is open, so it is known. The maths are not a secret. The problem is every single thing hashed with SHA-256 gets its own unique output. And so we either find collisions that break apart the sections of the mass for us without knowing or needing to do them all. So if we have like a ABCD is the same thing as a floating H, and we don't, well, the D part in ABCD in order is the same thing as a floating H randomly throughout any kind of part of the code. Well, we can look for the script ABCD, And then we can also look for just the D script out of that. And if we see one but not the other, well, we'll know exactly if it's H. If we see both, it's A, B, C, D. And then we can actually break it apart faster to find out what's actually there. The other thing we can do, which we kind of hinted at earlier, is if we have hashed every possible thing in 256, then we can just simply look it up. And we can see what's actually in there. And we don't need to break it open or anything like that. We just take what we looked up, run it through the thing to make sure it's the same output, and go, okay, it's the same output, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. So really, the entropy is the saving grace both in cryptography and Bitcoin, because we can just keep adding on to the entropy, which makes a never-ending list of possibilities, or a never-ending possible entropy thing. Yeah, 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 yeah. Woo, it's about the best we're going to get there. But if you really want to know, there is this like toolkit site that's like, how long does it take to break SHA? And they kind of give you some stuff in here, like factoring in what it really takes and things like that, and how to make it easier and stuff, and really still what it ends up taking. And like an 8-bit character takes 2 days to crack on a GPU. A 10 character takes centuries. An 8 character fully randomized can, they don't know. I think the biggest thing that's really going to make a huge difference is improper use of the SHA. And of course, finding collisions, which is what I just described a second ago. So those are really the ways to get it done. So we are going to keep going. So my next question, I do have a picture for this one. It is broken up, so we're going to start it off without the picture and then go to the second part, which I have a picture of. And the question kind of starts off with, could free energy hurt Bitcoin? Okay. Most people probably see free energy as in a machine that can produce more energy than needed to make it, aka a 0-point free energy system. At the moment, we need some 3 times or so of something to get an output, so we waste more energy. We waste a lot of energy. And if anything of the ideal of if anything, the ideal of less regulated energy production and usage could allow for anyone just finding ways to capture energy, as well as having grids that some people would still pay into instead. That is free energy. That is the free energy many top thinkers really talk about nowadays, or they consider in most cases. But it would help Bitcoin because more people would be A, used to handling and understanding electricity, B, more people would be willing to use energy they capture or pay for because the demand for energy would be much lessened overall, or the energy production sector would be very competitive, allowing for the lowest energy per price point. Now, let's break this down to also a hypothetical question too. Some of the people at Bitcoin Live Decentralized Broadcasting was wondering, I'm going to bring in the screenshot. If there was a 0-point energy system machine, how could this affect the Bitcoin network? Positive or negative? We just answered the negative part. Now I'm going to go to the actual thing you see in front of me. The thought experiment. Oh, yeah. The 0-point energy, blah, blah, blah. If true, what would that mean for Bitcoin network? I think you could then also secure it with the same type of energy, right? Plus, energy distribution would still have energy costs, blah, blah, blah. I asked this as a friend, but also, I'm pretty deep into the UFO file stuff, and I do believe they are a real phenomenon, and I'm not mistaken, so do you. And to be honest, what he's asking, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe in UFOs. I just don't believe in aliens being close enough to us for us to interact with them. I am also inclined to believe Grush or other whistleblowers who have come forward and testified to Congress under oath that the U.S. has been running a deliberate cover-up, etc. So if all this is true, then clearly these UFOs are not flying around on diesel. You could give your own views on this issue if you think it relates to answering the question just for fun. You could also be safe to hint at the end to keep people's attention, blah, blah, blah. Basically, how could free energy hurt Bitcoin is kind of the same question of how does free energy help Bitcoin, right? And going into the hypotheticals, we can really look at it differently. So if Grouch and other whistleblowers who have come forward and testified under oath that the U.S. has deliberately covered up UAPs, and they're not running on diesel, could you give your own views on it? I think this is part of kind of really important because it does give some context on where zero-point energy ideal is coming from. And if we consider the energy sources that is actually used to fly around beyond hypersonically, perhaps we could actually determine more ideals of how it could involve the helping of Bitcoin. Or hurting Bitcoin. Alright. So the first part of is zero-point energy exist? If zero-point energy exists. Okay, this could help Bitcoin dramatically. With enough forethought and consideration, you could have a very dynamic, variable powered FGPA with ASIC miners attached, also GPUs and other FPGAs, for the ultimate defense, but only as much defense as it's actually needed. That's a dynamic on-the-fly defense miner, where single entities could actually secure an entire network. With enough of these types of entities, they could be fighting for the first reward or transaction fee in a sub-network group, and then this could very quickly speed up Bitcoin's block speed. This could help reduce memory pools, and as well, but it could create unusual problems seen with IPFS, where some areas of the network doesn't always see what other areas see at all times. So you could have transactions that take longer to verify just because of where you're at, while it's verified in other sections. Then when your area gets to about 6 confirmations, it just instantly jumps to 12, 24, 48, 100 something. And so it seems slower when it's actually faster. It's just you're not able to see parts that other ones can. And it makes a very confusing network. So yes, this would help, but it would also have a unique set of problems that we don't see in Bitcoin today. Now let's take this other half of mine here. Hypersonic travel is some of the fastest travel we've ever done. We do have machines that gone faster. And when we look at the machines that go the fastest that we can see, which you see a couple of these are simply ideals, some of these have had actual flights, which no one ever knew about. And if we look down here, it's a combined cycle propulsion system. Okay. That's kind of important. So, I went ahead and got the NASA paper on the overview of combined cycle disciplines. Like, why is it important? What's the point? Blah, blah, blah. What's up? Well, first off, I'm going to stick to my notes. Okay, this was released in like 2009. And they were using hydrogen and hydrocarbon, in which hydrogen fuel was best for Earth travel in many cases. The engines we see here is commonly known, but the aircraft being shown is commonly unknown. Like this one's unknown. It's the Space Shuttle, Concorde. I don't remember what this one's actually called. So you might not recognize them, but they're actually, these all exist and they're well known. Jump to page 7. Oh, that's some crazy, right? So, look at this shape. It was intended for use with. So here is the type of system. Look at this shape. This shape, it's a wedge. Okay? That is the edge of a UFO type shape. Like if you took a UFO and you cut that thing in half, that would be at one of the ends. Well, both ends would be this wedge shape. So I saw in there it said something about scramjet, and I was like, "What's a scramjet?" I mean, I knew, but I don't. So here we have turbojet, ramjet, scramjet, and you can see as we go down, there's less moving parts, and everything's more streamlined the further down we go. Okay, so it's a more powerful jet engine. Cool. So looking at scramjets led me to plasma propulsions. These are commonly used in space, but there are plasma propulsion for non-space use as well. And here are some engine types that straight up use them. Which, looking at this stuff, eventually led me to specifically spacecraft ion propulsion, or electric propulsion as it's actually called, as ion and plasma drives, or also known as electrostatic drives, which we'll get to very quickly. It's kind of a big hint of a lot of stuff coming. Mm-hmm. So this right here is like the type of output a plasma drive is looking to get. And you kind of see it's got that UFO shape, right? And you kind of see all the outputs one directional. So that's good. But there's actually a lot of force lines. Those red lines is like external forces. The bigger the line, the worse the external forces. Okay. And if we keep going, we're going to see that there is actually a point where you have the process of the plasma centripose for the protosphere spherical tomahawk. And a lot of people don't realize why I'm bringing this up. And I don't expect most people to understand half of this anyways or whatever. But there's this thing right here that's really interesting to look at that kind of gives you the most explanations than what I think is important to know. If we start this side, all right, it's starting to cool. It's cooled down. It's starting. You got these definite rings, and then you're putting gas in there, and it's interacting and mixing, and then we're applying electricity and more things, and it's doing more stuff, and we're exhaling things, and then we're using it with other things, and then eventually get to the last part. So these are these systems and stuff working together in this network. But it's this visual that you kind of got to see. Okay, it's visual you kind of got to see because we're gonna have a lot of references to that little picture you see right over there. Okay. So what a lot of people don't realize is what we're just showing is basically like cold fusion, the steps to cold fusion. And so here is the first formation of the spherical type stuff where we're trying to get cold fusion from and stuff. Um, and if we look, we kind of see that if the bottom of this picture is the front of your spacecraft, and then you kind of move around and then go to the thruster at the back, you are more set up to make sure that you always can go in one direction. And even if you're not in the same pinpoint, you can swivel or whatever as you need. So that's kind of where a lot of this ideals are coming from. But this, what we see here, is just like a brief design ideal. Now, this is an actual thing for something else. But what we're actually talking about has some of this in its core technology. Um, So the Tomahawk fusion reactor is the world's most heavily packed generator for cold fusion. And you see this has that solenoid going sideways thing. That's the old structure. Just a minute ago or so, we gave you the stuff for the new structure. So here's the differences between the two, conventional and the spherical. And this is the major difference between the side right above my head is the side that's like not good for use, and the other side spherical is actually really, really good for potential use. And it just shows that just changing a slight output of shape can change a lot of stuff. It can change like the difference between actually having potential for energy and not having potential for energy, because this spherical tomahawk is the closest thing we have to potential free energy. And it might have some secrets built inside of it that, well, we need to look at. So let's break the band-aid off. let's break it off. Going straight into it. The U.S. Air Force's plan to build a flying saucer. Yep, they did. They actually built more than one of these, from my understanding. And they have some pictures and such. We're going to go into the pictures, look up closer into those images. Here's the actual blog about it. This was from 1956. The project 1794. Weird name for a project that happened in the 50s. Here is a picture. So if we're looking at it, they took what eventually became a jet and just took the wing and wrapped it all the way around it. And we can see that there was a lot of room for fuel, not a whole lot of room for you. And then as we go in further, we can see they even had fins going all the way around the edges to try to redirect flow and stuff. The whole thing redirects around a center core. There's a lot of stuff going on in here that it really, it kind of shows why they have this shape. And if we look here, there is one jet, but there's like 5 entries for air. And that jet is outputting 1, which is why it needs to shift and move around. And so this setup would allow for, well, basically movement that would only be like 90-degree movements and things like that, to be very, very strange movements for sure. Hold on, I lost my point in my math, my stuff. All right. Okay, cool. So this setup shows that the turbojet plus scramjet forced air combined cycle engine that spins around the driver. This would allow for an air drifting and unusual turning mechanics, where the ship could turn and begin moving in a different direction as little as 33 degrees or as much as 180 degrees, which traditional planes and jets still cannot do. But here is what they were actually using. Here's the design, the setup, everything. And yeah, they were actually using diesel engines in 1956 to fly saucers. Sorry, bro. Fly saucers do run on diesel engines, or they used to run on diesel engines. We now have better engines for them to run on. So what was the UFO plane then became the Harrier plane, which many people know was the first vertical flight plane. It's the first plane that could go straight up. And the tactics. So basically, the tactics learned with the Air Force, the forced air transference, they were able to use for vertical takeoff jets in the year 1956, literally the same year that the other one stopped. Just imagine if they had hydrogen multifunctional jet engines like we do now, they would have really been able to take those flying saucer planes and gone somewhere with them. So what is my point here? It's easier to overcome gravity than to create free energy. And even if you had free energy, it's all about using it correctly to get the result wanted. Meaning, yeah, even with free energy that everyone could use, most wouldn't use it well for Bitcoin mining. Also, Bitcoin ASICs could use a redesign and get more efficiency by going into a spherical design. And better designed miners with better produced energy is the same as free energy in many cases for Bitcoin mining. So if we keep going, here an engineer says he's actually found an way to overcome Earth's gravity. And I really do mean it's easier to overcome gravity than to mine Bitcoin with free energy efficiently. Which leads to the hidden problem within mining with free energy. People don't get free energy, then say, okay, no worries. They have to overuse it for decades and decades before people will trust that free energy is, for so many years, people will fight the mining resources for Bitcoin mining isn't fit for free energy consumption, while the producers of that free energy might want that publicity of trying to find out. So back in 2013, 2014, researchers at NASA got 1 gram of thrust without propellant. I think this was a bit false for the experiment, and my thoughts was a bit faulty. But think about this. For over a decade, NASA has free electrostatic drive thrust without using it. Keyword, it isn't free electrostatic drive thrust. It's really expensive and was just the first time we had an electric space drive tech scene. Going a completely different route, the electric space drives existed. Oddly enough, the publicity of the concept was that all we needed to for this to run into something. But it again, in my eyes, very faulty experiment, which no one else went this exact route, which no one seemed to go this exact route for propellantless thrust. We can go backwards and say, hey, look, there is propelled thrust in space. Just we were looking at earlier. Where's There's ion drives. That's propel. That's it. There's something in there to propel it. So it's non. It isn't this non-propellant one. Um, this one. It's a different one, but it ends up with the same result. Now, if you want to learn more about this propellantless one and stuff, you can actually go. This is a video from the guy that talks about it and all this other stuff, and some other fun physics stuff. Okay, so I took a really long road to say yes, the saucers of the 1940s and 50s was done on diesel engines. But I also pointed out that any form of free energy could help Bitcoin to the fullest. So the real problem comes from us, the people actually doing it all. Cryptography, Bitcoin, energy is all about how you use it. If our miners are just shitting through electricity, we should start there and get better mining concepts like FPGAs are better than ASICs in my eye for energy use versus output. The algos could be adjusted and be better suiting the miners themselves, better suiting for the miners themselves. The miner setup could be better with less distance traveled per line, and the other cervical upgrades really all free energy does is give the opportunity for more hash power being output, and that's it. Many people are saying Bitcoin as in the currency BTC is capturing of electricity when it is really only an incentive to not store electricity. BTC is the currency in just an incentive program to get Bitcoin the network to where everyone wants to secure it versus only some people are needed to secure it. In reality, electricity cannot be stored. It's a finite combination of negativity particles and mixed forces working together to find the least resistance for its existence, and trying to store that is formally impossible. But using that electricity to then confirm data and verify information, well, that's worth more than anything, including capacitors. And as time goes on, people will either continue to make that true or won't. So let me say it like this. Like most things, cryptography, Bitcoin, energy, it's all how we use it, because there's nothing keeping it. It's only change. Many won't agree that you cannot keep Bitcoin, for it's holding it permanently can kill it. So constant change in some ways is needed, just like cryptography has to upgrade constantly to stay cryptic, and how energy is made over and over in order for energy to be there to be when it needs to be used. They're all have the same base component called maths, and it shows because they all work like maths, only moving forward. So we're going to go to the next question, which I believe also has no picture, and it's, can Bitcoin ever be captured, banned, or fully centralized? The answer is yes, sort of. Does Bitcoin have the potential for these three things? Absolutely. But for as long as Bitcoin keeps its core principle, any computer should be able to participate, including the original miner and node. Anyone should be able to jump in or out as they please, or feel the need to, and pull close and far away, verify, don't trust. Then it should be able to overcome these three scenarios. But let's get into it. Capturing Bitcoin. So this one has been said many times over the many years Bitcoin has existed. Companies, entities, people, governments could all have Bitcoin and not want to get rid of it, because there is no such thing as a floating Bitcoin, or else it hasn't been since mid 2013. If everyone is unwilling to trade it, move it, or use it, only wants to hold it, then the network of Bitcoin can still continue. Announcements may start costing people and would only be dealing in dust, so the chain could just stop. But you could still run a chance that the network would just still be continued. Announcements and mining doesn't have to cost, and can be free. Miners would just have to drop their standards for profit mining, and with that would probably stop faster than anything. But then the network for communications would still be there. Bitcoin doesn't work as an all for one; it's all with one, meaning the individual systems of Bitcoin coexist in the code and network and system. And at any point in time, you can remove one and all of them, and the remainders still continue. And at the moment, the BTC payout, the UTXOs, it's just a catalog system. While the wallets are permissions, signing is showing permissions or using permissions, and blocks are going to be formed for as long as one miner runs. BTC is optional within Bitcoin. So now go to banning Bitcoin. Banning Bitcoin is already banned in some places. Bitcoin is banned in some places. Here's a website. Where am I at? Here's a website where we're going to find out some places where you can and cannot use Bitcoin. Although I'm not going to go to the places you can use it, because those are subject to change. The only legality that's permanent is banishment, and it might not also be permanent for banning either. Now, countries that are considered legal tender, El Salvador and the Ca, but places that have banned it. Here are all the places that have actually banned cryptocurrency: China, Algeria, Morocco, Egypt, Nepal, Bolivia, Tunisia, Oman, Bangladesh. There you go. It's already banned in some places. Did that ruin it? Oh, I guess Bitcoin went down just now because people found out it's banned. Oh my gosh, we're all gonna. So, you know, just because a place bans Bitcoin doesn't mean people can't use it there. Bitcoin has a secret about its original model. It was designed to any method could work within Bitcoin. This means any code, type, machine, OS, internet type as well, though. So you can use Bitcoin fully offline and fully online. But as well, you can use Bitcoin over dial-up 28K, or over satellite, or over encoded air signal, or even over radio, which is possibly illegal in many countries to do directly with radio. But we did find a workaround in the country, at least I'm at, and we were able to broadcast a Bitcoin over the radio signal directly from the radio, and it went from the radio to the internet to the audio form of that video, and we were able to publish and push a Bitcoin test transaction. Nice. And I guess we have that's somewhere in the, you know, like this one multiple times already. It's somewhere in here. Let's see. Keep time. Attack and beast. Oh yeah, we've already talked about Attack and Bitcoin right now. And you know what? I think I got another one of these. Let me go back to these playlists. No, I did not do that. These playlists. Well, these playlists. Because we also have this playlist that you could go look for more stuff for. I believe that was one is in here. The one we did the radio episode, I believe, was in this one. Yeah, there's a lot more here. All right. So, but, hold on. If anyone's really wanting to learn more about Bitcoin, try some of Lop's known classes. He seems to know what he's doing about doing with Bitcoin in business. So, going into the fully centralized argument. So, in short, Bitcoin, for as long as it can be edited, verified, modified, and run by anyone, it has the ability to always split away from centralization. But it's very possible to centralize the access to Bitcoin. So many people are so unfortunately unwilling to participate fully in Bitcoin that they don't mine nor have nodes, but believe it or not, there are a large number of these unwilling participant holders of Bitcoin don't even use a form of self-custody wallet. So many of them rely on corporations to handle everything, just as part of their parents did with Sears and Visa. Many gamers already don't actually own their own games. Steam or PlayStation or Microsoft does. They don't mind a corporation handling their money, crypto, and everything. Many people shop for hours in apps for objects they will never own, have owned, or outside the app say they could own, and therefore are okay with corporations handling their crypto. This outcome is more real, and there are many people that already think that this is 100% legit and true right now, that crypto on Bitcoin is 100% centralized. So here is a great blog, a great write-up on the different visuals and stuff about centralization, even with the code and stuff on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin centralization of code or centralization of mining has always been a hot topic, so to speak. And yeah, there's ways to learn it all and figure it out, and you can even straight up do it yourself to find out. Like you can actually run this test your own on your own. So let's go to the TLDR. It is always possible for Bitcoin to be held on by everyone and never spent. For every place on earth is to ban Bitcoin, or even for even full the ways people can access it, hold it, and use it can be centralized completely. For as long as Bitcoin keeps its original trajectory to be backwards compatible to the original systems that began Bitcoin, which were like Pentium 2s or 3s at 512 megabyte RAM and GPU-less, they had no GPUs, then that's just a guess at the specs. But then Bitcoin is basically Bitcoin. Block size, block times, transaction fees. Bitcoin, these are meaningless to Bitcoin. I mean, BTC, I mean, these are all meaningless to Bitcoin. The database and the network. The only thing that Bitcoin cares about is if everyone is following the overruling majority, which is 51+% of the total participating nodes, plus and including 51+% of the total mining hash power, plus and including 51% of the total miners physically. So they have to have control over that majority and all their rules and change stuff. Everything else is just arbitrary add-ons, and some are based on processing power. The initial times, i.e. block times, are based on how many times it recalculates 0 to about 2.1 million in succession, wrapping each previous with each new recalculation, also calculating 0 twice in the in output with itself at least once to finish the end timer, or something like that. So then stuff was added to secure Bitcoin and this and that, and then we have basically vanilla Bitcoin by 2014, and then SegWit Bitcoin, blankety blankety Bitcoin, then Taproot Bitcoin, and then next will be like the recolored Bitcoin, which is like red colored gradient difficulty adjustments instead of hard lock adjusting on the difficulty, or some kind of fluid dynamic component for Bitcoin, which every day it seems like someone's offering something new for Bitcoin that we don't really need, but we probably could use. Whew. Last question. What happens when no more Bitcoin miner reward is given? Answer. Bitcoin has a secondary fee structure that has always been in Bitcoin. I think it was adopted from a previous coin like Hashcash or Darkcoin. So all transactions or announcements can have a transaction fee or incentive to process your transaction. So this is intended to keep paying miners. Of course, this may kill for profit mining. Um, some examples for that in a second. I'll have some examples for that in a second. But there is this third option for proof of work models give. Just get a miner out and mine your own free transactions for all the free transactions even. That is a way more efficient than you'd realize. Like that way is more efficient than you realize, just getting another miner and mining your own stuff. Because if you are mining literally to get your transaction on chain, then you are proof of decentralization. And even if you get one block every 3 to 5 years, which this is an average at the moment, not based on hash rate, but the spread of Bitcoin outputs to fresh or unknown versus known miners currently. And if we go to the next link, we can actually see right now there are some proof of work stats, right? We can see there are chains without hash rates. Here are chains without hash rates. And if you was to just jump on one of these chains and be searching your transaction, you could guarantee the send faster than you, like basically like you get on one of these, send money to someone through here, and you jump on and get a miner going and get the hash rate of what you have to ensure, and then you be looking for your transactions to ensure your transaction gets through. Now think about that. If you was to jump on this chain and want to be searching for your transactions, you could guarantee your send faster than if you was to receive a swap or an exchange for something else. So everyone wins. Like this is something in the hidden path to processing other transfers off chain. We used to call this chain submersion because you have to pop back on the other chain. So for example, I may send a Bitcoin signing hash wrapped in a password wrapper as my OP return with my send point to, and maybe with some extra data in the memo for the receiver, maybe an API map or a hash partial key. which the receiver swaps the sent funds on exchange where we sent to, but uses the blockchain explorer to get the sign information and stuff to get the actual PC funds to find, actually find them and transfer and put them on chain. And maybe you sent a wallet, maybe you sent it to a wallet that they swept into their wallet on the intended chain, still transferred via zero hash chain to an exchange so that the funds could easily be used, either be the funds or a very small amount of the funds could be used to actually pay the intended chain's transaction fee once it's been exchanged. So like I basically send you money through here. I'm going to go, okay, look, no one's using virus AI, so I'm going to send you virus AI, and in my OP return, I'm going to sign a Bitcoin transaction in a special way that you got to use some information to unlock it. All right, and it's all in the transaction though. So we're going to send a transaction this to you, but it's your exchange wallet. So the exchange gets it. The exchange doesn't perform on chain, or doesn't need to perform on chain for you to swap. So then you can hot swap without me needing to mine it no more. I guaranteed my transaction to you. I sent you enough money of this, so when you swap it over, you can pay the fee to get the signature that I sent you through this one to be put on chain. You win. I win. We both win. We all win. My reward isn't as important once enough people are reliant on the chain. As people are not reliant on it, then the reward is important. So the goal is to have everyone using Bitcoin for their personal wealth or money or something. So we all have a different reason to be mining. Have a node or 3 and using the chain as well. Many or most people never knew of this idleism, and the main people kind of forget about it, I guess. If the chain is needed for the database, it can always outlive the reward. If not, then it ends up like the other zero hash chains, waiting for attention. Let me take you back to that list so you can see that. Zero hash chains, waiting for attention. It don't take much. But you know what? It takes something, a little bit of you to do to go ahead and make a difference in what you view, see, and understand. Because at the end of the day, you have to do to change, and you have to change to continue, and you have to push on. Just like most things. Bitcoin, it's how you use it.